Ignite to Impact.
Hi, you're listening to Ignite to Impact, where we bring you stories to unleash your influence to make a positive difference, to inform and inspire you. Meaningful change is what we're about. Meaningful change in yourself and in others and in your community. I'm Dr. Geneva, your host, leadership coach, strategist, and I'm a best-selling author too, Justice on the Jersey Shore. Go check me out on Amazon. So we're sitting down with influencers to find out how they do what they do to make an impact. Now, let me ask you this. Have you ever wondered what the right thing to do was in a certain situation? Have you kind of been a little nervous about how you come off in a certain situation? Well, guess what? We've got the founder and chief protocol officer of Protocol International, and she knows all about interactive etiquette, protocol, civility, cultural competency, and she's there for executives and tomorrow's business leaders. So I'm talking about Cheryl Walker-Robertson is my guest. I'm so delighted. And in fact, I'm talking to her she's in Philadelphia, which was my hometown before I came to Detroit. I love Philly. Philly is a beautiful place. But Cheryl Walker-Robertson has an extensive array of experience as a corporate presenter. She's just such a charismatic, empowering, and people call her a fun trainer. And she's got these savvy business skills, and she's had over 20 years in corporate environment. And she's going to really let us know about protocol, how to do things right. How you doing, Cheryl?
I'm fantastic, especially after an amazing introduction as that. Thank you so much, Dr. Geneva.
So, we want to start right off with, what is protocol? What does that mean when we talk about protocol or civility or etiquette? What's that all about? And, Cheryl, why is that important to me as a businesswoman?
That is a fantastic question, and thank you for making a distinction between those three words. Protocol is really about how to understand what the right thing to do is under specific situations. Protocol is really a military term. It's a diplomatic term. It's used in international business and international affairs. And so there are rules of order and how you should behave and how you should do things when you're home, when you're international, when you're with different types of people. But the rules are set, and everybody who is in the business, they understand what the rules are. Etiquette, on the other hand, is more about doing the right thing for the right reasons. And so etiquette has a gray area. This is what you're supposed to do. But if the circumstances change, then so may the etiquette rule that you should use. Civility is about how to do the right thing by people. And so those are the distinctions between three words that we typically and often use interchangeably.
Right.
And if I may, can I throw in a real quick picture, a story here?
Oh, now let me tell you, you can throw in stories anytime. We love stories. So please, go ahead, tell it.
I'm going to try to tell this story very quickly because I have so many of them, but this one is one of my favorites because it's about one of my favorite people, Jacqueline Kennedy, when she was First Lady in the White House. She was the first one to redecorate the White House. She changed so many things about the order of things. And so she changed the long table, which clearly demarked who was most important at the table. Instead, she had round tables, so it made it even where you sat and who you were when you dined with them at the White House. But one night they were having a white tie affair, which is the most formal, and they were entertaining a Japanese delegation. And at the end of the meal, the wait service showed up with a bowl. And it was French service, so everybody had their own server, and the wait staff placed the bowl in front of each guest. the guest of the president and the Japanese delegation. And so the Japanese ambassador, who, according to protocol, would always eat first. And then once he ate, it gave permission for everyone else at the table to dine. And so he looks down at this bowl, and you can tell visually that he was a little confused, not sure what to do. So he looked up at the president, who nodded and smiled. And then he looked back at the First Lady, who also nodded and smiled. And then he looked at the guests, who were getting a little impatient. He could see that. And so then he looked back at the First Lady, who nodded and smiled, and then he looked at the bowl. He picked it up, he brought it to his lips, and he drank. And so everyone at the table sort of, they were startled. And so he could feel the energy in the room change, realizing that perhaps he'd done something wrong. And protocol in that country would be, if you commit a faux pas, it's the most terrible thing that you can do internationally, not just in their country. And so he looks up at President Kennedy, and he's a little startled. He's nervous as well. And then he looks at the people again, and they're like, oh, my goodness. And Jacqueline Kennedy then looks at her guest. She picks up the bowl. She drinks from the bowl. She looks back at her guest, encouraging them with her eye contact. You too must drink from this bowl, as they all did. And so protocol would say that was the finger bowl where you wash your hands.
No.
And so everyone in the room knew, oh, my goodness, what's going to happen now? But Jacqueline Kennedy had enough style and enough grace and enough etiquette to know to save face for him. He needed to drink from the bowl as well and make sure everyone else did, to make sure he did not feel uncomfortable. That's a great example of the difference between protocol and etiquette.
Yes. Oh, that's. I love that story. Because when you were talking about, place the bowl, I said, I wonder if that's the bowl where you're supposed to wash your hands, in between. I was thinking that. And
you were right on target.
And what really struck a chord with me, which was the point you made, was what Jacqueline Kennedy did about that.
Yes.
And that's how you are describing, and so that's the civility part of it. Is that right?
To be civil enough,
yes,
to care enough
exactly.
that you don't hurt someone's feelings, and that you treat someone the way that you want to be treated, or even better than that, and that's the golden rule. To treat someone the way you want to be treated. But the platinum rule is to treat someone the way they want to be treated. And that's the extra mile, to be considerate, to pay attention enough to understand they need this from me right now.
Now, that's some heavy stuff there, Cheryl. I mean, it really is. Because in most conversations, or when people say that, do unto others as you want to be done unto you. And it's always about how you want to be felt and treated and looked at.
Right.
But you've taken it a step further.
That's right.
And what is that platinum rule again?
To do unto others as they would like to have been done unto them. So that's an extra level of consideration and for someone what they need. What is it that you need, not what I need?
Right. That's because that also, I think, is the platinum rule of great customer service.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
And how you should do your business, right?
Yes, absolutely, Dr. Tim. And that, to answer your other question, why is this important to me? It's important to you because it's how you build your personal and professional brand.
Yes.
It's how you serve others. It's how you make sure that you're giving all that you should be giving to the world.
I love it. So, Cheryl, how did you get into this work? How did you get into, talking about protocol, etiquette, civility, and being the master, the queen of all this?
It's a funny thing. It wasn't as if it's something I got into. It's something that really got into me. I think that often when God gives you a gift, it's not something that you necessarily seek. It's something that seeks you out, and then how you use it is really the real blessing. And when I was young, I was surrounded by boys. I had first cousins, all boys. I had brothers, all boys. And even in my neighborhood where I grew up, they were all boys. And so I had to be able to compete with these guys, so I could climb the tree faster, I could kick the can further, and I had a mean jump shot as well. But my mother wanted me to be just a little bit more girly. And so because of that, she enrolled me in charm school and etiquette school every summer. And oh my goodness, I really hated it. But you had to do everything my mother told you to do.
Absolutely.
And so etiquette classes in charm school forever. But it really was not, I was not of it. I understood it and I was trained in it, but it really wasn't part of my thing because I really wanted to be more like a jock. I went to college on a basketball scholarship, a volleyball scholarship. And so I was a guy's girl, really. And then I worked for Pan American Airlines. I was hired by Pan Am, International Airlines. And all of a sudden, traveling internationally, all of these little lessons that I'd learned growing up, going to these different schools, I got a chance to really see it implemented in the most amazing way. And so I became very good at my job because I understood and understood the power of being considerate, of demonstrating etiquette. And then Pan Am was so great at training us. So we had protocol briefings before every international flight, before every flight, but particularly international flights, so we could understand the culture of the country that we were traveling to. What was important to understand these nuances as we were traveling and making sure we were keeping hundreds and hundreds of passengers safe on our airline. And I was often the first flight attendant, always want to be a leader, always want to be in charge. And so it was important for me to lead these briefings and to share with the other flight attendants and the other crew, here are things that we should understand about this flight, because we're going to Brazil, we're going to have a group of Hasidic Jews on the flight, or we're going to Brazil and here's some words that we should understand in the language. And so it became so powerful, and I just enjoyed so much knowing that I wanted to know more and more. And so I studied and I read books and I went through training. And so when I came out of being a Pan Am flight attendant, when I worked in industry, I worked in healthcare, so important to understand protocol and etiquette and civility and culture when you're dealing with people and their health, especially different nationalities. It kicked in strong there. And then when I worked for Odyssey, it was also important to understand how to relate in seconds to people, how to build rapport very quickly. And so these rewards helped me, and it just helped me to continue to sharpen my saw and to continue to learn. And so I became certified by a very prestigious school in Washington, D.C., and so that gave me the credibility. And also it helped me understand, even though I'd studied so much, what I didn't know. And I couldn't wait to graduate from this school to share with the world these unwritten rules. It's almost like a secret that people who know keep to themselves, and people who don't know realize they don't know but don't know how to get it. And so it's been my mission to share these tips, these strategies, this talent, these skills called protocol and etiquette.
That's just that's phenomenal. Because, I'm thinking about, well, where do you go to learn these things? Where do you find these unwritten rules? And you've made a mission of learning them, knowing them, practicing them, and then, so important, sharing them. And that's phenomenal.
I tell you what, I was one of very few women of color in my class, and I think my instructor understood that I was different from everyone else. So many other people in that class were diplomats or wives of military, and so I was a layperson. And I was in the front row every class. I asked pointed questions. I was just so engaged. And so when it came time for us to get our certificate, she whispered into my ear and she said, "Please do not give this away," which confirmed for me that this is some sort of secret that they want to keep. And and she looked at me and said, "I know she's going to go out there and just give these, secrets away."
Mm-hmm.
And she was absolutely right. It is my business, but it's also my passion.
Mm-hmm.
So we do a lot of work with corporations. We do a lot of work with elite athletes, with colleges and universities, professional sports teams. We do a lot of work internationally, but we do almost equally as amount of work with children, with high schools, with youth groups, because I just love so much seeing that light in their eyes when they understand, wow, this is how you do it.
Right. Now, does that include things as basic as what fork do you use at what time, and how do you sit at a table when you're having lunch, or what's the conversation, or how do you use a napkin, or do you hold a door open for someone? Are those some of the basics? I mean, I remember those things because my mom too used to, have me go to charm classes and do this and that. And one of the, you learn how to eat. You learn how to hold a conversation. You learn how to carry yourself in and out of a room. Are those things that we still teach young people?
And those are things that we teach people who are not necessarily that old, too.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, because these are basics, but sometimes we haven't gotten the basics.
Exactly.
The question is, where do you get this type of training?
Right, right.
There's nowhere really to go anymore. When I went to charm school and etiquette class, very upscale hotels and major department stores, this is where you would go, and it was very diverse, or maybe lacked diversity. I added the diversity to many of those classes, but where do you go now? So some of that training, yes, it certainly does include how to walk into a room. It includes eye contact. It includes the handshake.
Yes.
It includes how to sit in a chair, how to get out of a chair, how to get in and out of a car. It includes how to dine. And so we have several different divisions, and and each division teaches dining skills.
Now, when you're talking about several divisions, you're talking about at your Protocol International Academy. Tell us how that's structured.
So Protocol Academy is our online version of our live training. So we're really excited about going high tech. So our divisions, the Elite Athlete Division, the Children's Division, the Corporate Division, the International Division, and we have a Special Groups Division. And so each of those divisions has its own version of each workshop.
I see.
So when we do dining skills for the Corporate Division, it's around the art of entertaining a client. But when we do it for children, it's called the fundamentals of dining. And so it's a different approach in how we do the training, and a different way that we do in terms of the interaction and engagement and what topics that we cover. And so we're hoping that everyone will get the same experience from our online training as what we do live. It won't be as engaging, of course, because, technology isn't the high touch that we all wanted it to be. But we think it'll be a great feeder system for our live training. So you can actually go online and download the whole course, The Art of Fine Dining.
All right.
Or you can say, I just want to know about the place setting.
Okay.
Or I just want to know about the rules of the people who are in a restaurant there to serve us. Or I may just want to know how to enter and exit a chair. So it's broken off into different segments. So you can get all of the segments, or you can choose just one or two if you're trying to brush up. An executive called me once and said, I was about to go to dinner with an international, and I wanted to just remember a few of the fine things I had forgotten about dining. And I just wanted to go to your website and just find out about one or two things without having to take the whole course. And that's really kind of what gave me the idea. I need to get an online library. And so people can just go in like you would a library, pull out a book or look at a chapter and just brush up on that. So that's our goal for Protocol Academy. Thank you for asking about it.
Yes, yes. So one of the things you've done is, you're an author and you've written several things, but I noticed that you have a book, a bestseller, titled Rules of Engagement: How to Win at Entertaining Clients and Other Important People. So give us
and of course, everybody is important.
Yes, right. So give us a peek into what some of those chapters say.
Yeah, so the way the book is set up is we always start with a scenario.
Okay.
And sometimes the scenarios are really funny, and sometimes they're really serious with dire circumstances, because the consequences of not knowing protocol or following etiquette can cost you a job, can cost you your reputation, can cost you your career or business deal. And so what we do is we set up each chapter with a story, a true story, in fact, and then we go into here's how you should resolve a situation like this.
Okay, so you give it's like a case study, a real authentic thing, and people have to figure. I love that.
And it's a lot of fun to read. It's a quick read, but it is all about how to entertain a client over a meal and all the nuances associated with dining in a way that you want people to be impressed with you and to understand that you understand the rules of the game. Dr. Geneva, this is really what it's about. When people understand that you know the rules, then it elevates your relationship with them, because we're always testing each other, trying to figure out how we relate to one another and what you know. So people who understand the rules of the game only want to play with other people who understand the rules of the game. You can't show up to a basketball game with a golf club. Exactly.
Or in perhaps in a pair of shorts that that aren't appropriate, or what you wear, because I would assume dressing and clothes and your wardrobe is a part of the rules of the game as well.
Absolutely. So, and that's one of the first indications that you understand the circumstances and the appropriateness and what you should or should not do. So if you do come to an interview, great example, even if you're working for a very informal organization, the situation of an interview is a very formal one. And so you should always show up. And you let me know what you think about me and how serious this situation is for you by how you show up. And show up is about presence, it's about your attire, but it's also about what kind of energy you bring and, kind of carry you with your grooming. And how are you on time? Are you prepared?
Yes.
All of these things are about showing up.
Yes. Oh, my goodness. Well, listen, my audience, if you're just joining us, we're having an enlightening conversation about rules of order, etiquette, civility, platinum and golden rules with Cheryl Walker-Robertson. And this is very, very interesting. So tell us a story about one of the most difficult, perhaps, maybe challenging situations, protocol situations you've been in, and how you solved it or resolved it.
Well, one that comes to mind is an organization that was hosting an international foreign event. And they got introduced properly to the talent. I have to make sure I'm exercising protocol here by not saying any names or anything.
Oh, of course.
but the leader of the international organization was coming from a different country, traveling a very long time to participate. And when they got there, the person that invited them did not have anyone to meet and greet them at the airport to help them navigate luggage, to help them get from the airport to the hotel. There was no one at the hotel to meet and greet and welcome them, to escort them to the room. There were no extra wonderful things in the room to demonstrate the care and the excitement that they really did feel for the person coming in to participate in their program. And so the person and their entourage felt disrespected. They didn't feel cared for. They felt that they had gotten to something that they didn't want to be in. And because of all of this lack, they felt like it was best for them to just go back to the airport and leave.
And they did?
And they did.
Oh, my goodness.
So
yeah, that's a real
hole
graphic
in the program.
Yes.
Everybody was scrambling, embarrassed on this side. And on the other side, the entourage was hurt and disrespected. And it caused, quite a bit of consternation. So to call in a protocol and an etiquette expert with international experience is a good thing.
Yes.
To have someone. You often don't know who to call. Right?
Yes.
Because sometimes you make a mistake. The thing is, how do you fix it?
Absolutely.
And how to fix it quickly. And so that's one of the more grave stories, but I have so many stories. I do a lot of work with staffing companies, and staffing companies get paid when the person gets employed, when they get hired.
Yes.
And depending on the level, sometimes these interviews are 4 or 5, 6 interviews. And typically the last interview is over a meal. And typically that is to announce, to say how excited you are about bringing the person on, but it's also sort of the last test. And so we kind of want to understand who you really are, not just who you are as an interviewer, but who you are on your resume, but you get a chance to see their interpersonal skills over a meal.
Yes.
And how you treat a waiter. How, do you understand which fork to use? Do you understand the order of things? It's not just about the fork and the knife, but it's about your understanding order and following order. I had a staffing company say that the interviewer interviewed one of their clients, and the person put loads of salt and pepper on the food before they tasted it, and that was an indication to them that they would make decisions like that.
Oh, my goodness. Oh,
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Or treated the waiter badly, is that a reflection of how you may treat my staff?
Right. Yeah, that I could see that, but that's interesting about... And
then your judgment. Are you going to order something that's challenging? And are you going to order the most expensive thing on the menu? Are you going to order too many cocktails? These are all indications, not just of how you eat, but also your personality.
So if I'm an entrepreneur, a business owner, how do I know if I'm out of order?
You have to pay attention, and that's the other part about this. A lot of people feel like they don't need it, but you don't know what you don't know. And so if you're not paying attention to when you commit a faux pas or you do something contrary to etiquette or protocol, then you don't notice how the room got a little chillier. You won't notice the body language of the person who you're trying so hard to impress change because of something that you said or did or didn't do or didn't say.
Okay.
And so if you're so busy trying to get your pitch in, you're so in your head trying to sell, that you're not paying attention to the signals, the signs, the body language that the other person is giving you, you will miss it.
Yes.
And that's why you think you don't need protocol and etiquette. But if you're an entrepreneur, then you need to make sure that everybody who works for you, because as an entrepreneur, your brand is so precious and sometimes so fragile depending on where you are in your business. Are you sure that the people who are working around you are exercising protocol and etiquette? Have you set protocols for your company which says when a customer comes into our office, this is what we do? And when someone is running behind schedule, so-and-so does this to make sure that they're comfortable. Or whenever we're having a meeting, we always set the room up this way. Or this is how we always prepare for a big sales pitch. If there are no protocols set, then each salesperson may be doing it on their own way. And
right.
Is that the way you want, based on your brand?
Mm-hmm. And so that's so true how you hooked it back, how that hooks back to your brand, and what you want to communicate. So having protocols, rules, order of how customers should be treated, how you run your business. The basis of this is also connected to your brand and how you want to be known. And that seems to be so important for entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And it was also interesting what you talked about in terms of signs and signals that entrepreneurs, people who have businesses, people concerned about their brand need to be aware enough to sense, notice, observe signals and signs, body language from their customers and people they're dealing with.
Yes, because we're saying so many things about ourselves. And we always believe the thing that happens in your body language much more than we believe what you say. Mm-hmm. If what you're saying doesn't match what you're doing, I'm going to believe what you're doing more than what you say.
Yes, absolutely. Those, deeds, the action.
Yeah.
We talk about words and action. Words and deeds need to align and match up, but you're right. I do think the actions scream the loudest.
Yeah.
They really signal, put it out there.
Oh, it's so true. The thing about it is we only have 7 seconds if this is about first impressions.
Okay.
And so when I do my training, I often have everyone in the room to count with me. And I make sure it's an upbeat, James Brown kind of beat,
Okay.
Depending on the room, I may go with Meek Mill. But
okay.
The beat's important. But the real thing is that only 7 seconds of it. And that's what all of us do to each other in 7 seconds, is we size each other up. Mm-hmm. And so what are those things that go into the 7 seconds of deciding who you are and who you're not?
Oh, that's got to be powerful. That's a workshop you do?
Yes, that's about first impressions, but first impressions is a part of our networking workshop. Uh-huh. It's a part of our dining skills workshop. Mm-hmm. It's a part of our international briefings. So body language is so important, and it happens in just a little bit of time. What are you saying to the world when you enter every room? What are you saying?
That's powerful. That's real powerful. And Cheryl, is that the kind of work you did with Odyssey? Tell our listeners what Odyssey is. I know we're winding down in our conversation, but I'd really like you to tell folks what Odyssey is and then let people know how they can connect with you.
Odyssey Media is a marketing company, marketing and communications company. And what we do at Odyssey is connect our niche audience of influential and affluent multicultural women with sponsors who care about them. And we do a great job of connecting them to each other. Mm-hmm. And so we have so many programs and events that we do. Odyssey Network, the Ultimate Business Retreat, is the grandmother of all of our events. But the best thing that's happening with us now is our Odyssey Circle. And so Odyssey Circle is an opportunity for everyone to join as a member, and then you get invitations to all of the things that we're doing and also the things that our sponsors are inviting us to participate with them in. And so the Odyssey Circle is going to be a lot of fun. So I am a consultant, but I'm also the EVP of Global Marketing and Sales for Odyssey Media. I'm associated with the company and with its CEO, Linda Spradley Dunn, for over 20 years. And so I've enjoyed a very great relationship with them, and I get an opportunity to exercise my protocol and etiquette for a very important group of women. But it's also a great voyeur seat for me as well, that I can really see, amongst these influential, affluent, multicultural women, how protocol and etiquette shows up, and also when it doesn't. So I really do enjoy my association with Odyssey and my company, Protocol International, very involved with this growth.
Phenomenal. And for folk who want to connect with you, and I know a whole bunch of people want to connect with you. Okay. So how would they do that?
Well, my email is Cheryl, Cheryl, @4, and that's the number, protocol.net. So Cheryl at 4protocol.net. But you can also come to our website to learn more about us at www.4, again, the number, protocol.net. I'd be delighted to hear from your audience and see what they thought about our interview.
Yes. Well, I know they're going to love it. And I have, for my listeners, I just want to tell you, I have been waiting, hoping, filled with anticipation to have a chance to talk with Cheryl because for a couple of reasons. One, I think you've just heard it. The kind of advice, information that she offers and talks about is so critical, and we don't know how to get it. But it really has probably makes a difference between success and not success in your business, in whatever you're doing as an entrepreneur, learning how to not be out of order. And so that's one. But then the second is because I've seen through watching her, knowing the work that she's done, taking a peek at some of her courses, that she's so authentic, and that you can, and I think you can hear that through her conversation, that she's very passionate about this. She's in her purpose, and she's passionate. And she's very passionate about it so that what you get is real, and I think she also helps you, make it happen and be good for you. So that's great value. So I just knew it was going to be an awesome conversation, Cheryl Walker-Robertson, and I just so appreciate you for spending your time and being with me and my listeners.
Dr. Geneva, thank you so much. Great work that you're doing to ignite so much passion in all of us as your interviewers, that's also your listeners, of which I'm a big fan of yours. So thank you for the great work that you're doing and for living your purpose. For that, I'm grateful.
I appreciate you, and we'll be back to you. Hopefully you can come on again, and we might want to take some of those special, segments, some of those special pieces, like how to eat right and what fork to use. And then I love that, how to get in and out of a chair. I love it. You could probably do a whole podcast just on that, and or a blog. And you blog too, don't you? Aren't you a blogger?
I do. The polished professional, yes.
Okay. All right. So you got it all going on. So thank you, Cheryl Walker-Robertson. Not only a professional, consummate protocol, civility expert, but a sister, an aunt, a wife, a mother, and a daughter. We appreciate you.
My best job.
Thank you. Thank you again, my listeners, for joining us on Ignite to Impact, where you can come here and get all sorts of good information on how to unleash your influence to make a difference in yourself, in others, and in your community. So don't forget to stop by iHeartRadio or iTunes. We're there. We're all over social media. Ignite to the number Impact. And subscribe, download, and give me a review. Don't give me that 2 review or that 3-star. Give me a 5-star review, because I know we bring you such value and good stuff. Thanks for listening.
Ignite to Impact.